It is Thursday, February 1st, and the Splash Zone is back in your life. I am Matt Modi with my three favorite NBA player props for tonight. I'm only going to have three picks tonight because the slate admittedly is pretty gross, and we only got 4 games on tap as well. But I do really like the three plays that I have, so I'm not going to make any excuses for that. Before I can give you today's picks, I got to do a recap from yesterday, which was terrible. Just a terrible night of bad beats, mostly just because of hooks, not that we got super unlucky. I gave out 4 picks yesterday. I only got one of those 4 to cash, which is kind of funny because I gave out 3 plays for minus money. I gave out 1 play for plus money. And guess which play ended up hitting? That's right. The plus money banger is the only play that hit. I missed James Harden over 9.5 assists. Just a bad read. He didn't even come close. And the two tough L's where I had Sabonis under his points. I had under 18.5. He scored exactly 19. He hit a 3-pointer. He had an and one in the fourth quarter to hit the over, which was brutal. And then I had Damian Lillard over 25.5 points. He ended with exactly 25 in the last possession of the game. For whatever reason, Doc had him inbound the ball, even though he's their best player. Kind of a tough night to have those 2 bad beats, but unfortunately that is the way things go. They still go down in the record books as L's. Luckily, I have had a ton of success this entire year. So even with yesterday's brutal day, we are still up over 42 units. We're just under 43 units of profit, 42.98 to be exact, with an ROI of 25.74%. Obviously, those numbers are incredible. It's never fun to have a down day, but literally on Tuesday's slate, we swept it. So we swept the slate on Tuesday. We went 1-3 yesterday. That's just the nature of the business. Again, as for today, I do have 3 picks for you guys. One thing that I will say about today's picks is because of all the injury news, it was really tough to choose. There was just a limited selection of even player props available. Now, like I said, I do really like the plays that I have today, so I'm not making excuses for that. What I will say is that once injury news gets announced, I'm probably going to play more plays as the day goes on. So I would recommend following me on Twitter. So if I do post more plays, you can get them there. And then, of course, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, would appreciate that as well. When we go on the next hot streak, you're going to want to be along for the ride. And then for this video, if you could comment, all that stuff helps me out a ton. And the last thing that I'll say before I give you the picks, as I mentioned, for the 3rd time now, tons of injury news on today's slate. And again, I really do like today's plays, so I'm not making excuses there. What I am saying is that regardless of how the injury news shakes out, I like the 3 plays that I'm giving out, regardless of who plays and who doesn't play. So regardless of what happens there, I'm not going to be scared off of any of my plays tonight. But before I get into the picks today, I just want to give you the rundown of the injuries so you kind of know what we're dealing with here. Anthony Davis is questionable, and this time he's actually legitimately questionable. Him and LeBron are questionable for literally every single game. AD missed the last game, so he actually is a real questionable this time. Tyrese Maxey has missed the past week or so. He's questionable, as is Nicholas Batum. Joel Embiid obviously is confirmed out, and even Marcus Morris is listed as doubtful. So the Sixers game, a lot of injuries there. On the Pacers side, Tyrese Halliburton is playing. He's expected to play at least, but he's going to be on a minutes restriction again. He played 22 minutes last game. He'll probably play something similar this game. On the Knicks side, Julius Randle's out. He's going to be out for a while. And then we have OG Anunoby and Quentin Grimes, both listed as questionable. And then the Grizzlies, just a skeleton crew that we have. Their entire team is already hurt. Desmond Bane, Steven Adams, John Morant. I could go on and on. Marcus Smart. Now even more, Luke Kennard is listed as doubtful. Derrick Rose is listed as doubtful. John Conchar is questionable. So as I mentioned, it's a brutal slate with injuries and stuff. There are some plays that I like that are dependent on injury news. So again, make sure to follow me on Twitter as you see on my handle at Jedi Modi. And that's enough of that. Let's get into today's picks. First up, 76ers versus Jazz game. I'm taking Tobias Harris over 25.5 points. This is best offered -106 odds at FanDuel is where I got it as well. As I just mentioned, there are a ton of injuries for the Sixers. The thing is, with Tobias, if Maxey plays, if all those guys end up playing, obviously aside from Embiid, because he's definitely going to be out, if all the guys that are questionable or even doubtful end up playing, I'm really going to like Tobias in this matchup anyways. This is the perfect type of matchup. The Jazz are the perfect type of defense for Tobias to dominate. The teams that he struggles against are teams with long, lanky defenders that will get up in your grill. Tobias likes a lot of space for him to operate. He can't deal with a lot of pressure. Well, That's not what we're going up against with the Jazz. The Jazz are a pretty soft defense, and they just don't have the talent, really, to make someone like Tobias uncomfortable. Despite the Jazz's recent hot streak, their defense still hasn't been that good. They're the 24th ranked defense according to NBA, according to net rating. Now, Tobias did miss the first game these two teams played this year, but in general, he's shown the ability to step up against these types of defenses that have really weak wing defenders. And he also has shown the ability to step up in games that both Maxey and or Embiid miss. Last game, yeah, technically Embiid did play. We all saw it. He looked horrible, was clearly hobbled, should not have played, and Maxey was out. In that game, Tobias Harris scored 26 points. Earlier this month, there was a 2-game stretch where Tobias scored 32 points against a soft Hawks defense and 37 points against a soft Kings defense. Now, Embiid missed some of those games, played some of those games. Doesn't matter. It's the defense that we like here. Now for this matchup, as I mentioned, Embiid is confirmed out with Marcus Morris doubtful, with Tobias Harris questionable, blah, blah, blah. With Embiid off the court, that's the most important one. And Tobias's usage rate skyrockets. With him off the court, it goes up by 4.6%. That's the second highest usage rate increase on the team. You want to know who has the highest usage rate increase when Embiid is off the court? That would be Tyrese Maxey. So if he plays, this is even more of a smash play for Tobias. If he doesn't play, I still like him. With Maxey and Embiid both off the court, Tobias has the highest usage rate on the Sixers. So I think he's going to get the ball early and often in this one. I think he should be able to have success and torch this Jazz defense. I love looking at the Tobias Harris over. I've taken his under twice this year, and I have not cashed either of them. So let's hope we have better luck taking his over. That's our first play. Next up in the Pacers versus Knicks game, Jalen Brunson under 7.5 assists. This is at plus 106 odds at BetRivers. Another game with huge injury ramifications, as I mentioned earlier. Julius Randle is already confirmed out. He's going to be out for a while with the shoulder injury. Then we have OG Anunoby and Quentin Grimes listed as questionable. That's 3 catch and shoot guys that won't be available to Brunson, depending on if all 3 miss. And even if OG and Quentin Grimes play, I still would like targeting Jalen Brunson's under. As bad as the Pacers defense is, and they're very, very bad, you'd be surprised to hear that they actually are not a great matchup if you're looking to target point guard assists, right? They're not a good matchup for point guard assist overs, especially for someone with the playmaking style like Brunson, which we'll get into that in a little bit. Despite the Pacers having one of the worst defenses in the NBA, they've given up the 5th fewest point guard assists per game on the entire year and the 7th fewest over the past 30 days. So even recently, it's not like they have been really a good matchup for point guard assists. A lot of stats get inflated when you play the Pacers. One of them that should not be inflated are point guard assists. Only 2 of the last 8 point guards against the Pacers have gone over their point total over under, and both of them that went over, their over under was below the 7.5 number that we have for Jalen Brunson. The last time a point guard had 8 or more assists against the Pacers, that was January 14th when Jamal Murray did it, and he had exactly 8. Now looking at Brunson, this is a number he's hit in 5 of his last 10 games. But if you look at the matchups, majority of the games in which he went over are juicy matchups that you would have wanted to target him. And one of them, or 2 of them, I actually did. On Tuesday, he played the Jazz. I had his over. He had 9. Earlier in this 10-game stretch, he played the Wizards, a team that we targeted his over. He had 8. Another game, he had 9 against the Raptors, 8 against the Heat. All those teams struggle against point guard assists, which again is not the case with the Pacers. And the last point that I'll make here is the source that I'm looking at here is Courtside Pal, which gives you a player profile almost however you would look at it, where they shoot from, where they score from, how they play make, how they rebound, height, weight, mass, anything you can look for, it's on Courtside Pal. And across the board, the Pacers are listed as a tough matchup for Jalen Brunson and his assist number. According to, if you look at playmaking style, the Pacers give up the 4th fewest assists per game to someone of Jalen Brunson's playmaking style. Even if you look at a different type of data and how to look at it differently, they give up the 2nd fewest assists to someone of Brunson's shooting profile and the 3rd fewest assists to someone of his scoring profile. So no matter how you slice it, tough matchup for point guard assists for Brunson assists against the Pacers. I'm riding with his under. Next up, our third and final pick for this video, Lakers versus Celtics. We're taking Kristaps Porzingis, 3+ made 3-pointers, plus 155 odds at FanDuel. It's a bummer that AD is going to be out in this game because it's always an iconic matchup when it's Lakers Celtics. We had them play on Christmas. But whether AD plays or not, I like targeting Porzingis in his 3-point prop. Admittedly, one thing I try to do is the flip-flop method, bet against recent results. That's not what we're doing I really at all today, and especially not with this Kristaps Porzingis one. He's actually been on fire from deep if you look at his stats recently. He's missed some games due to nagging injuries, so it's not like these are the 6 most recent games that the Celtics have played. But in KP's 6 most recent games, has hit, I should say, 3 or more 3-pointers in 4 of those 6 games. He's actually had one game against the Rockets where he hit 6. Now, he did miss it in his most recent game against the Pacers. He shot 2 of 6 from deep in that one. That's at least nice that he had a little bit of a bad shooting game, because the shooting percentages that he was at the prior 5 games, there was no way that he was going to be able to keep that up. So I like the fact that he had one cold game, even though 2 of 6 isn't terrible. I also like this play tonight because of the matchup against the Lakers. The Lakers give up a ton of 3-pointers to centers like Kristaps Porzingis, who can shoot. AD, no AD, I still like targeting. I know I've said that word a lot. I still like, the prop for Porzingis over 2.5 made 3-pointers. On the year, the Lakers are giving up the 5th most made 3-pointers to centers in the entire NBA. And if you go one step further, props.cash lists the Lakers as the best matchup in the NBA when it comes to center 3-point props. I like looking at props.cash because they also take into account the over-under, not just the raw stats that the team's given up, but what are the books price their over-under at as well. Because if the team gives up 30 points to a point guard, they're going to be high, but if that point guard was SGA or Donovan Mitchell, they would go over their point total over-under. So just an example like that to kind of show you how it's helpful. That's it. That's all we got. 3 NBA player prop bangers for you guys to lock in. As I mentioned, remember to subscribe if you're not already. Like the video, comment, all that good stuff. And if you're still here, the very last thing I'll mention is if you like my picks, but you don't want to watch the YouTube videos, or you don't have time, or you just want to get the plays immediately texted to you, I do have a dub club. Now, I want to be clear that I'm not trying to sell you on a VIP picks package or anything like that. Everything that I give out on dub club is what I end up giving out on YouTube. So it's the same picks. People just opt going for the dub club so they can get them, like I said, texted to them immediately. Or if there are some days where you don't have time to watch the YouTube video, or you just don't want to, you can do that as well. So it's the same exact picks, whether you want them for $5 a month via my dub club, whether you'd rather watch the video on YouTube for completely free, that's totally fine. Either option is okay with me. I just like to give people the option. If you're interested in the dub club, again, it's only $5 a month, and the link to it is in the video description, comment. That's all we got. Again, appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.